In this video, I'm going to show you how to save money by doing something you've never tried before. See, the Federal Reserve conducted a study a few years ago, and they found that 47% of Americans couldn't afford a $400 emergency without needing to take out a loan or put it on a credit card. And you might be sitting there thinking that, well, this just has to do with income. They just need to be paid more, but that's not the case at all. In fact, I'll share with you some numbers on that in a second. The problem here is much, much deeper, and that's what I want to show you in this video. I want to show you one simple exercise you can use to overcome this and start saving money. Now, I know that you won't believe me when I say that income isn't the problem, but check this out. In that same study, the Fed also found that 25% of adults in households making over $100K a year also couldn't afford that $400 emergency. So the problem doesn't appear to be solely tied with income. I think we'd all agree that if your household's making nearly double the median household income for the country, you should probably be able to afford a $400 emergency. So what is it then? What's going on that's consistently causing us to spend more than we make? I believe the problem comes down to our needs, our wants, and our really wants. See, you know the difference between needs and wants. You learn this as a young kid from your parents or from your teachers at school. You need food, water, shelter, clothing. You don't need the candy bar in the checkout line at the grocery store, or the new video game that's coming out next week, or that new pair of shoes, or that next toy, or the next whatever. You don't need any of that. Those are all wants, and we're taught that, we know that. The problem is that most of our financial education kind of stopped there, and we never took it a step further to differentiate between our wants and our really wants. If you're watching this video right now, it's very likely that you live somewhere where there's power, where there's internet, where there's food and water, where you're probably under a roof right now. You're probably not wondering where your next meal is going to come from, where you're going to lay down tonight, or if you're going to have clothes tomorrow. We don't need those things in most of our lives. I live in America. I live in one of the wealthiest countries around. Like, I don't need anything, and I'm betting that neither do you. So that means that everything else in our life literally is a want, not a need. Now, you might think that I'm about to tell you to just start prioritizing your wants. Just get out a sheet of paper, rank them 1 through 10, and then you're good to go. But that's not what I'm going to do at all. Instead, I'm going to show you an exercise that should completely change the way that you think about spending and saving money. So let's get inside and just get to it. What I want to do here is walk you through my version applied to finance of Simon Sinek's Start With Why. He applies this to business, and it's a really good TED Talk that you should totally check out. I'll link to it in the description down below. The bottom line of his video, of his talk, is essentially saying before you do anything like starting a business or getting your finances in order or moving in a certain direction or making a change, you need to really clearly understand why you're doing what you're doing and why you're going down that path before you ever even start moving. So what do I mean when I say start with why when it comes to your purchases? Well, what I mean is to start with the underlying outcomes that a specific purchase will bring, or how those outcomes are going to play kind of into your overall values. For example, when you go to buy a new set of clothes, you don't actually care about the clothes themselves. You don't actually care about the t-shirt or the pants or the whatever. What you care about is something else, the outcome that those things give you. For you, it might be just feeling good and looking good for yourself. It gives you a certain amount of confidence. Or maybe it's to feel good and look good so that you can fit into a certain area. Or maybe it's to impress a certain person, or to get into a certain job role, or to impress an in-law's family, or whatever it is. I don't know what it is for you, but there's an underlying reason, there's an underlying value or outcome associated with you wanting that thing. All right, so now let's walk through this exercise step by step together. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to identify the outcomes or the values that we have that just in general are the most important to us. For me, that looks like social time with family and friends, making our living space comfortable to live in and like peaceful when we're here working, taking good care of our pets, traveling in general, and exploring / adventures in local areas, and then saving for the long term, for options and less stress. I like to save for the long term, not just for retirement as well, but a big part of what I like to save for is so that it gives us the option to change our mind. When you have money, you have a lot more options to do things or make decisions than when you don't have money. The other big reason that I like to save money is to just get my lack of stress down. All right, step number 2 is to consider a very specific purchase that you're about to make, and then think about the outcomes that that purchase is going to provide. So if we take eating out, for example, what are some of the outcomes? Well, there's a lot of outcomes that eating out could provide. For me and Hannah, the outcomes that we tend to care about are like an opportunity to get out, social time with each other or friends and family, is a big one. No dishes to do. That's a big one for us. Now, yours may differ for eating out. I know for my parents specifically, they really care about the quality of food. Like they just love good food. For me, I like good food, but these rank a little higher for me, and these are the outcomes that I tend to care about, or the outcomes that I pay the most attention to. But it might be good to recognize that what I'm paying for is quality food sometimes. So let's look at that in the next step. In step 3, we're going to look at the outcomes of the purchase and then look at how well those align with the outcomes that we said we wanted and the values that we said are the most important to us. So if I look up here at the ones that I said, and then I come down here and I look at them, opportunity to get out, that kind of aligns with my values, maybe. This one definitely does. No dishes to do, that doesn't really align with my values at all. That's just me being lazy. That's not up here in these values, nowhere to be found. Change of scenery, kind of, we do like getting out and exploring the local area. So I would say a 50-50 on this, because you do have to pay a lot for the food, and the quality of food isn't one of my big values. All right, so step number 4 is to actually consider the trade-offs that you're gonna have to make to get those outcomes. So this is gonna be the cost in time and in actual money, and then any other trade-offs that are gonna be associated with this purchase. For eating out, it's pretty expensive compared to the time that you're actually spending having fun and doing it. When Hannah and I go out to eat, we're typically spending anywhere from $40 to $50 with a tip and everything for like an hour to an hour and a half of time. So this means less money that we can spend elsewhere. And for us, when we sat down and looked at this process for eating out, we realized that eating out was actually something that provided an outcome that we could find in other less expensive ways. So now comes the final decision, step number 5. We now have to decide, is this a sort of kind of want, or is it a really want? And if it's not a really want, where else should we be putting that money? So for us, what we found is that eating out is often just a sort of kind of want. It's not a really want. We do like it sometimes, but not as much as we have been going. What we've learned is that we'd actually rather spend more money going to coffee shops instead of going out to eat, because we can go to a coffee shop 4 or 5 times for the same amount of money that we are going to go out to eat with, and each time that we go, we can hang out for 2, 3, 4 hours and work or read or just hang out and talk. And that means that we get those outcomes that we care about, the social time together with each other, being able to get a new scenery and get out of the airstream a little bit and try something new, and we get all those outcomes for way less cost than we would going out, which means we get to do it a lot more times on the exact same budget. Now let me quickly explain why this works, why this is actually going to help you save money. See, when you're super clear on those really wants, 3 things start to happen. Number 1, you'll stop spending money on crap that you only kind of sort of want. Number 2, you'll be more willing to save for the long term because you really remember and understand why you're saving, and that keeps it top of mind for you and helps you push through when it's hard to save. And number 3, you'll realize that oftentimes there's cheaper alternatives that are going to get you the exact same outcome as some purchase that you're thinking about making. So next time you go to make a purchase, I just want you to quickly run through this mental exercise in your head. What outcomes and values do I care about the most? What outcomes and values does this purchase produce or give? How do those fall into play with the ones that I care about? And then, am I willing to make the trade-offs for this thing because it is truly a really want? And if the answer is no, then go use that money for some other really want and put it towards some saving, like maybe a house or freedom and options in retirement or something like that. That's how this process helps you save money, because it helps you get way more efficient with the money that you have so that you can maximize where you're spending your money and how you're saving it to truly do the things that you value the most. So that's it, guys. If you would like to grab a copy of this worksheet, I'm going to drop a link of it down in the description below. You can go to my website and snag a copy for yourself there. Also, be sure to hit that like button if you like this video and got something out of it, and hit that subscribe button if you want to see more videos like it. As always, remember, I can teach you how to make wise money decisions and really think through the outcomes and the values associated with those purchases and those saving endeavors, but I can't make you do it. The choice is yours. I'll see y'all next time.